right now. Just give me a minute while I try to share my screen. All right. So that's our speaker. Introducing to us, the person taking the session tonight is Mr. Joseph Ogundare, FCIGL, LG, MCIPM. He's a catalyst for business transformation. Joseph Ogundare is a seasoned professional with a remarkable career spanning over 2 decades across diverse industries, including advertising, telecommunications, non-profit, and business consulting. His journey reflects a deep-seated passion for driving organizational success through strategic leadership, human capital development, and transformative business processes. Joseph Ogundare is a seasoned professional with a remarkable career spanning over 2 decades across diverse industries. His journey reflects a deep-seated passion for driving organizational success. He uses meticulous approach to analyze and refine systems and cultures, ensures that organizations achieve peak performance. He helps businesses streamline operations, cut costs, elevate quality standards, and ultimately secure sustainable positive outcomes. Joseph's impressive resume includes a wealth of experience across key leadership roles. He served as an admin staff at Interpublic Nigeria Limited, team lead at Glow Limited, executive director at Relate Africa, and a founding partner, CEO, and head of Nigeria operations for Vantage Consulting and Vantage Certificates. A graduate of philosophy with a master's degree in public and internal affairs. Joseph is a testament to the power of continuous learning. He's a fellow of the CILG USA and all 3 community LinkedIn badges as a top HR, top career development, and top executive coaching voices. His dedication to knowledge sharing extends beyond the professional realm. He's an accomplished author, writer, coach, and counselor, consistently seeking to inspire and empower others. He's a full member of the CIPM. Joseph Ogundare is more than a consultant. He's a catalyst for transformation. His deep understanding of business dynamic combined with his passion for developing human potential makes him a valuable asset for any organization seeking to elevate its performance and achieve sustainable success. I want to believe you cannot agree with me less that we have the right person for this job. And so right about now, I invite to take the stage Mr. Joseph Ogundare. Please, over to you. Are you there, sir? Can you hear me?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, loudly, very clearly.
Okay. Thank you for having me. My name is Joseph Ogundare. So just call me Joseph for this one. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you have the access.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, very well.
All right, good evening, everyone. I don't know where you're joining us from, whether Lagos, like someone said, United States of Lagos, whether it is United States of Abuja. Those of you in Abuja, please, I'm looking for a way to get something to the president of Nigeria. So if you can help us, you are the seat of power, so I want to say a very good evening and a very warm welcome. I hope you can manage my voice. I've been in class since morning. Okay, so just got back this evening and then I had to jump on this one. Thank you so much for joining me on this one. Thank you for being a part of this one. Together, we're going to be sharing knowledge this evening. I have been asked to come and facilitate knowledge. You know, you call a facilitator to speak at an event like this. You must recognize the fact that on the call also are top professionals who perhaps are more hungry, you know, or better know the subject much better than you even do. All that I know is that I know nothing. So as I share with you this evening, you will also be sharing with me. So I'll try and kickstart almost immediately. So I'd like to just do one thing. My facilitator, please read to me some of the expectations of the people from the chat room. Did anyone drop anything?
Yes, from Chineye, she said, I want to be intentional about being an HR professional. Amadu says that he's looking forward to another interesting session. And that's about what we have for the expectations for now.
Well, that's not good enough. Can we drop our expectation? I really would like to know what your expectation is for this session. Today we read out a few more. Please drop your expectations, or at least you should be able to drop like 3 expectations for this particular session. Living. Okay, and I'm sure you know what we mean when we use the word intentional. So it takes much more than just being there and allowing things to happen. It means you have to go all out to try and make it happen. So it's that place you are that speaks so much to beyond wishing, beyond one thing, to going out to make things happen. It means you have to push yourself on every side, make yourself available on every side. So what I want to ask us to do right now is try and bring yourself back to the session. I know if you're living in this Federal Republic of Emilokon, there's so much going on in Nigeria right now, right? And there's a tendency for all of us to be distracted somehow. Some are tired, some don't know how to push further. Some find themselves in lots of troubles they don't think they should have gotten into. Some are even quarreling with their spouse, whereas their spouse is not the cause of the trouble. So don't worry. There is always a better way to approach it. There's always a better way to make things happen. So do we have any other expectations on the platform?
Yes, we have a few ones. We have from
Dr.
Michael Logu, said his expectation is how to be ethical and professional in all my dealings as an HR practitioner. Then Stephanie says, I want to get clarity on major ethical conduct, especially with this generation. Esther Ariyibi says, expecting to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Those are the few we've had.
Fantastic. Malga on the call, I salute you, sir. Dr. Michael Ogu. Thank you for having me here. Okay, so my mobile. We're in Nigeria, we're not in Canada, so they can take the light. It happens. Can you still hear my voice?
Yes, loud, very loud. Can hear you.
Okay, so because I'm trying to project with my laptop while I speak with my phone. Okay, my phone will still be on. So can I have like 2 or 3 persons just speak to me about the subject matter for this evening? Okay, the topic before us, what does it say to you? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you look at the topic? I like to engage. I don't like the professorial style of facilitating, where I'll just come here and speak blah, 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 blah. I like people engaging with me when I speak to them. So what does this topic say to you as a member of AHRP? We are an association of shameless learners. We learn at all times, put our mind to it because we believe in it. Learning is a part of who we are. We drink learning, sleep learning, wake learning. I mean, this association is one of the most interesting places to be in Nigeria. Okay, because you keep learning, you keep getting so much come to you from time to time. You cannot be here and say you don't have enough for growth. Am I correct? Or I'm wrong?
Correct, sir.
You can't be here and say you don't have enough for growth. So can I have like 2 or 3 persons speak to me about the subject matter for this evening? The topic. What does it say to you? Looking at the topic from the surface, what is that one important thing you're picking out of it? You know, when you go to class as a student, you want to sometimes research before you go to class. When you go to learn, it's always important to also prepare yourself to go learn. So it's not just to say, I want to just go listen to that person. So what's the subject matter saying?
Anybody want to speak and raise your hand so that we can unmute?
Nobody's saying anything.
Yeah, people, we have Esther. I read
Okay, is it? Oh, are they dropping comments in the box?
We have Esther says intentionality, deliberate action.
No, I'm not talking about School of Intentional Living. I'm talking about the topic. Deliberate action, intentionality. That speaks to School of Intentional Living much more than it speaks to the topic. The topic this evening, in case we don't know, says be intentional about ethical conduct and professionalism as an HR practitioner. So that is the topic for this particular evening. And let me just say one thing from the beginning. I'm going to try and take the topic to the level it takes me to. I'm never always in a hurry to try and finish anything. The important thing sits in before me. If you're able to pick 1 or 2 things at the end of the session, it is better for me that way than for me to say, I want to. If you look at my slide, I'd always prepare my slide handling a full training session. This isn't the master class. This isn't the full training session. It's just that session for you and I to rub minds. And so we're going to take it as much as we can. Wherever we stop, you will continue by looking at the slide on your own as a profile, and then try and see how much more you can study. I try to prepare slides in such a way that when you can look at them, you can look at them and say, okay, I'll learn 1 or 2 things when I have them with me. Okay, so the important thing tonight is for us to begin, and then we'll stop where we can stop. Let me see if I can. Again. So can I get any comments from the chat room?
Okay, so it's just Esther Iribi that spoke about.
Is there any comment from the chat room?
It's just Esther that spoke about. Okay, it said clarifying the thin line between ethical and professional practices. Did you get that?
Can I get it? Yes, I got.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, please? Just a second, there is network. Hello, can you hear me, please?
Boss Ade, we can hear you.
All right, I guess is I said the only person that we have that spoke about the theme is talking about clarifying the theme line between ethical and professional practices. So that's what we have.
Hello, can you hear my voice?
I guess, yes, we can hear you now, but for a while we couldn't.
Okay, sincere apologies. The network. I'm trying to switch from network to network, and I don't know what's going on. Okay. You said one person wrote something in the chat.
Yes, clarifying the theme line between ethical and professional practices. That's what we have.
Okay, clarifying the thin line between ethical and professional practice.
Yes. I guess Mr. Chisel's network is not quite stable, but we can drop our hints and ideologies about the theme. I think what he was asking is that anybody wants to speak about the theme, what do you understand by it, and then anybody would like to speak to it. We hope that his network is stable and back soon. So while we wait for him, we can drop what we have, ideologies about the topic that we are treating today. And also we can also drop our expectations for the thing while we wait for our speaker. Pray for a stable network tonight so that we can have a good class. Welcome back. Welcome back. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? Network. But you're muted. In case you're speaking, you're muted. Okay. So let's drop our learnings, our expectations, regards to this course that we're having, this topic tonight, being intentional about ethical conduct and professionalism as an HR practitioner. That's what we are treating this evening. And we have Mr. Joseph Ogundare taking us on this journey. We hope that his network is back soon. but please, you can drop your expectations first, and then what you understand by the theme in your own words and English. You can just write it while wait, then we can read it out when it comes on board. We hope the network is stable. Being intentional about our ethics and professionalism is very critical to us as HR, and hence this topic. So we await the network to be stable now. Okay, like we all know, I'll just take our core values again: credibility, authenticity, responsibility, resilience, integrity, empathy, agility. That's a core value. HRP, and we know we are dogged about this and not going about the vision statement is to be the go-to source of competent human resource professionals who redefine the practice. Yeah. And the mission is creating value for human resource professionals and organizing through coaching, mentoring, and research-based learning and capacity development programs. We all know this is part of it. The topic is one that we know that as an HR person, we need to be ethical and professional in our dealings and deliverables. As we engage the company, as we engage the vision, the mission of the organization, and even stand as a middleman, the business partner between the staff and the company. The cardinal mandate is to bridge the common gap that exists between the human resource professionals of different K development, knowledge acquisition, and experience sharing. So just to share with us again about stand. Yes. Yes. About that. Feel that each but for the meantime, you can drop your expectations for those that are here. Okay, I think Sir Joseph is online back.
Oh, goodness.
Hello, sir. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
Sure,
me?
you can hear us. You are muted.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Joseph. We can hear you.
Okay. She was saying I was muted. Okay. My most sincere apologies for this. I don't know how this is working. Village people at work. Okay. Once again, good evening. I apologize for the entire network issue. I'll quickly jump into it. And then if at some point you really cannot hear me, you'll have to let me know. So this evening, we want to look at the subject matter, be intentional about ethical conduct and professionalism as an HR practitioner. First, I'd like to take you through the message we got, the learning objectives for this to help you understand the importance of ethical conduct and professionalism in HR and their impact on organizational culture. Secondly, we also help you recognize common ethical dilemmas in HR and learn strategies for managing them effectively. At the end of, we want you to develop skills to promote fairness, transparency, and respect in all HR practices. And then foster a personal commitment to maintaining integrity, confidentiality, ethical leadership in the workplace. So at the end of this particular session, you're supposed to be able to clearly differentiate between legal compliance and ethical responsibilities, recognize and effectively manage ethical dilemmas within HR practices, apply strategies that promote transparency, fairness, and respect in their interaction, and then demonstrate a heightened awareness of the importance of confidentiality and, of course, integrity. The background to this, according to the message we got,
is very, very clear. The important thing is, let me quickly jump this and come to the introduction. HR professionals occupy very strategic roles in organization. Albert, are you on the call? If you're on the call, if you can hear me, just give me a sign, because I'll just keep talking. I don't know if you can hear me. Moderator, can you hear me?
You are audible, sir.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Can
you
hear
so
you.
much. Okay, so the important thing about looking at this particular topic is to try and help us understand that HR professionals sit in a place that is uncommon. I'd like you to first and foremost try and register that within your mind. The important thing, I'll approach this subject matter this evening from the place of business. From the place of what? From the place of business. Every business exists to succeed. No one goes into the world of business not to succeed. So I'd like you to understand the fact that as an HR professional, as one who wears that cap, you sit in that place where your key responsibility is at the arena of helping businesses succeed. Now, I tell HR professionals that the role of a customer service person is to manage external customers. To manage external customers. Now, the role of HR is to manage internal customers. That's who we are. That's who we are. You know, in the world of business, you now understand one clear thing. There is only one person who has the power to sack everyone in an organization from top to bottom. That person is called who? The customer. Only the customer has the power to sack everyone from top to bottom. How would the customer do that? By simply not patronizing us. They take the business somewhere. So the word customer becomes very important. And in the world of business, we understand the fact that there are two kinds of customers in a business. External customers as well as internal customers. These two are strategic because one needs the other to exist. Yes, one needs the other. The customer will not be able to walk into your place to do business if there are no individuals within to attend to them. So HR professionals must understand, or HR practitioners must understand, because someone has said there's a difference between a practitioner and being a professional. You can be a practitioner and yet you're not professional. The background to this whole thing we're talking about this evening is very simple. That as HR professionals, we must begin to see the staff we work with, the staff we work for, the staff that work with us from the place of not just seeing the staff, but see them also even as a customer. Because if you look at them with that bird's eye view, you'll understand one thing very clearly, that you cannot afford to treat them in the way you are not supposed to treat them. You cannot afford to be unprofessional with them. Regardless of where you sit, whether at the top or the very bottom of the ladder, once you call yourself an HR professional, an HR practitioner, a human resource practitioner, you cannot afford to be caught in certain words. And I say this because if you allow yourself become that, then it becomes hopeless. Direction clueless. The vision ununderstandable. The mission not clear. The purpose not found. Of course, you and I know that a number of us within this practice have been found to have been in places, to have done things we ought not to do. Even in this day and time, someone said, HR practitioners are the light on social media, but they're darkness in the workplace. You don't have to agree. But is that where we ought to be? Should we be in that place where what we present, what we put on the table, what we bring to light in the organization is something that will make someone say we are light on social media, but we're darkness in the workplace. I had an experience earlier in the year about someone who was also threatening to go on social media because of someone also amongst us. And when I heard the story, of course, I didn't have the privilege of hearing from the other side. My nature is always listening to two sides of a story, and I don't like to judge. It's not my nature. I just don't like it. What will my judgment bring to the table? I like to just analyze what I hear. But from the things I heard and the experience I also had with this person, I was tempted to begin to believe. But in my super style, I just didn't want to sit in the place of belief. So all I did was pacify this person. No, don't do this. Okay? Don't do this because it's going to damage so much. Now, HR professionals or HR practitioners, whichever one you want to call us, are individuals that have been given very, very high responsibilities in organizations to be able to help organizations succeed from the beginning of what defines our function to the very bottom of what it is. We cannot afford to be found in the place where we are questioned in the place of ethics and professionalism. We damage everything. It becomes hopeless. Okay, now as a way of introducing this, I want to put something on the board. Can you see anything on my screen? What can you see? Is there anybody on this call that can tell me what they can see? Can you see anything on my screen, on your screen? What can you see?
We have them drop it on the comments and iceberg.
No, I want someone to engage me. What can you see on the screen?
Iceberg. They
Can
have
someone-
it. They are writing. They are writing on the
You're
chat
writing?
session.
Okay. Apologies, I can't read the chat session. Okay, thank you. My moderator, please guide me very well. You can see the iceberg. So I'm going to ask a question this evening.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a question this evening. When you look at the subject matter of this evening, what we're talking about this evening, what is the singular most important message of the iceberg to the HR professional? What is the singular most important message for you when you look at this picture?
Kelvin said ethics.
Can somebody raise their hand and talk? Are they afraid of the microphone? Don't be afraid of the microphone.
Please, if you like to talk.
Who?
Please, can raise your hand. But we have Uchechi says tip of the iceberg above water and the most bigger part below. The main reason behind actions are not usually visible.
The main reason behind actions are not usually visible. Correct?
Yes.
Do we have any other one?
No other one.
No other one. That means my class
Always
is not
look
participating.
beyond. Somebody said, Stephanie. Stephanie says, always look beyond the surface.
Always look beyond the surface.
Yes.
Is there any other one?
Not yet. Aside
The topic is be intentional about ethical conduct and professionalism as an HR practitioner. So I am asking my audience this evening, okay, what is the singular most important? Some people have said something very key. It's important what they said. It's very, very important as well. Put them somewhere, don't throw them away. Okay, what is the singular most important message of the iceberg as it relates to this topic? Speaking to HR professionals tonight. My moderator, feel free to call anybody, please.
Okay. The person has dropped their hand. Any other person willing to? Chibuza says the small part of a much larger situation or problem that remains hidden.
Can you take that again for me?
The small part of a much larger situation or problem that remains hidden.
Okay.
And then another person says you'll be judged as a professional by what the employee sees.
You'll be judged as a professional by what the employee sees. Very
And
good.
then Oluchi
Go on.
says what is in you is more than what you want people to see.
What is in you is more than what you want people to see. Okay, thank you very much for that. Now, when you look at the iceberg, I use this picture when I teach leadership, emotional intelligence, most subject matters. And I just thought in my reflection that it applies to us too as HR professionals. So I decided to bring it into this subject. Now, when you look at this picture as an HR professional, one of the things that clearly comes to mind is that you're seeing eyes. Okay? You're seeing eyes. At the bottom of it is something much more than what you see on the surface. And that's why, again, I told you that the answers given are all very important, key, and very necessary for this conversation. Now, as an HR professional, looking at this picture, it tells you about the people you work with. It tells you something about the people you work for. It tells you something about individuals who also work with you. This iceberg can naturally be interpreting a human being. Don't forget that as a HR professional, you're dealing with humans. And that's why someone said, when you send the word human from human resources on holiday, what is left is resources. Okay, fine. Now, when you look at the iceberg as a professional, it tells you something about humans, about the staff you are working with. At profession, sometimes we're tempted to look, to judge, to gauge, assess, evaluate everyone just looking at the surface. But we forget that right beneath, underneath, much more than you know, much more than comes to the table, much more than is visible, the things you can't see at all are the deeper ones within every human being. So sometimes we are tempted not to apply the humane side to an issue. Sometimes we don't understand that what we are, others are also. That we go through pains, we go through joy, we go through trials, we go through moments we don't like. Others go through them also. So sometimes when you're trying to apply certain things, you need to come to grips with the fact that what you go through, others go through it. Look at the picture on your screen. That is a clear-cut interpretation in some way of the iceberg. Sometimes you're focused on the JD of that person. Sometimes you're focused on what the person has been employed to do. Sometimes you're focused on the fact that the person gets paid salary. So you expect the person to be able to deliver. But you take your eyes away from the sacrifices this person made. You also make sacrifices. Sometimes you take your eyes away from the fact that this person battles sometimes health issues, even though you also do too. So when you go through these things, you expect the world to understand. But when people go through these things, you don't want to understand what they go through. Sometimes we're even tempted to tell them you're lying. We forget the fact that they have to maintain good habits to be on the job, just like you. They have to maintain focus to stay productive, just like you. That they experience disappointments in life, just like you. That they have to maintain a growth mindset, just like you. And that sometimes they have to be persistent in this pain of life, especially if you're living in a country like Nigeria, for example, just like you. That they have to set daily goals, just like you. That they have to meet meeting deadlines and the deadlines that you give to them, just like you. And that they have expenses they have to make if they have to get there, just like you. That sometimes they have to battle with time, just like you. Sometimes they have to be discouraged to wake up in the morning. They just don't look forward to going to work because today, maybe if you live in Nigeria, your take-home pay can no longer take you home. But they are determined to walk some distance and take bus for some distance. Maybe just like you. That sometimes also they cry. They cry. They shed tears, deep tears, just like you, and at other times they go through sleepless nights because they're confused in their life, in their journey, and in the things they're going through, just like you. And maybe at other times too, they suffer rejection just like you. It gets you to one point. The individuals you're dealing with are humans. You must come to grips with the fact that that is a key message for us, for you and I, as professionals. They are not robots. They are humans. Now, if you look at what is on your screen, I actually brought this so that you will understand that in this day and time, you have different generations. Of course, you go from the traditionalists to the boomers, to the Gen X, to the millennials and Gen Z, and some are already saying Gen Alpha. The point is this: there are different mentalities to different subject matters. When you get the slide, you can actually look at this. There are different mentalities to different subject matters, and in the way we respond to different things and in the way it happened. I was telling a Gen Z person the other day that, do you know what it was like when we were growing up and my father wanted to send a message to my grandma in the village? I was like, okay, what happens? I said, my father will write a letter. There are two options. Either we'll go to the park and give it to a bus driver that will pass in front of the village and then give it to grandma, or my father will write the letter, depending on how important that message is. I also wants to know what's going on with your grandma, and then I travel all the way from Lagos to Ibadan. I get to Ibadan, I give grandma the letter, grandma collects the letter, begins to dance, and mommy to collect her, that kind of thing. And grandma begins to dance, and when she's ready, you read the letter to grandma. That's after making sure you're eating, and then you're settled, you read the letter to her, and then she makes sure you're relaxed, and when you want to go back to write another letter, you carry the same letter, come back to Lagos and give to your father, but today you can solve that problem by a simple phone call. The world has gone through different phases. So the heavy weight some people are coming from is lighter for others. So in the way we make rules, in the way we guide the people, and the things we align in the organizations, we must understand that culture plays a very important role. That's why every organization, the system is rooted in their culture. Culture becomes a defining factor. There are organizations where you go to, you can only address people by first name basis. There are organizations you go to, you cannot try that. So you must understand the terrain that you have. So what this picture just tells you in relation to this subject matter, so you understand that we are in that time that is really very different. And how we approach matter must be very flexible also. Human resource professional, let us face ourselves now as we look at this subject matter deeply. Who are we as human resource professionals? The job you do in every organization is very, very important. Like I said from the beginning. Let me just test it. Can you still hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Can you still hear me? Thank you very
Yes,
much.
you can hear you.
Okay, now I just want to ask anybody listening to me out there, what is your impression about who we are as HR professionals? What's your impression about who we are?
Can we raise our hand? You would like to speak, or we drop in the chat session our answers? Stephanie says we are problem solvers. Okay, I think the network is gone again. All right, let's just keep dropping our view about who we are as HR professionals while we wait for our speaker to on board. But thus far, it's been engaging us to know that times and seasons have changed. There are a lot of things involved beyond what we see and what we can say physically touch. There are so many things on the background foundations that forms what we see. So that I think is trying to buttress on the need why we need to be more intentional about how. And then he also spoke about customers being the king, and we must keep them in business, because if not, they are the only one that can keep everybody out of business. I'm very sure we've heard that all over again, but it's the intentionality aspect of it that we need to learn. Okay, it's back on the call. For as many people that still have more comments about who we are, I guess we are all professionals here. So please let's drop what we think we are, who we think we are.
So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So who do we think we are as HR professionals?
Okay, so we have few people drop on the comment section. Stephanie says problem solvers.
Problem solvers.
Then
Okay.
Uzuchukwu says some perceive us as being wicked and mean.
Some perceive us as being wicked and mean. Ah.
Yes.
Mm.
She says solution providers.
Solution providers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uzuchukwu, okay. Christina says culture drivers.
Culture drivers. Okay.
Adewale says undertakers.
Undertakers.
Yes.
Does Adewale want to explain to us what he means by okay?
Adewale.
Adewale.
Adewale, can you
Undertakers. Right.
And then Olabisi says critics.
I'd like to engage. Adewale, are you there? You want to talk to us?
Adewale, do you want to speak?
Maybe Adewale is shy. Okay.
Okay. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Adewale. How are you?
Okay, fine. What I mean by undertakers are HR as seen as caretakers, as seen as how will I call it now? People who should be seen to take care of everything. They are alive in an organization. Every rise and fall is HR. HR is seen as
go on, sir. Go on.
HR is seen as a chief shepherd. HR is seen as a chief steward in all things. HR will not be exonerated.
Okay. So Adewale, I'm trying to engage you now. This is what people think we are. Who do you think we are? Or who do you know? No, that's not my question. That's what people think we are. Who do you think we should be? Based on what our profession say what our profession say we are.
I think HR should be first and foremost business owners should come up with business owners mentality as a strategist. HR we should see ourselves as entrepreneurs. We should not just see ourselves as if we are not part of the business. We see ourselves as entrepreneur, the business owner. That is what we should, and that is what I feel HR should be. But perception is everything. Sometimes the way people perceive HR in different organizations differs. In some organizations, HR.
You know what? I am fine with what you said about what we should be like. So tonight, I'm not concerned about yes, it's important what everybody's saying, but I just need to be sure what you think we are. Thank you very much, Adewale. Okay. Yeah. Let me quickly run because Jesus is Lord. It's 8:57. I don't know how this is going to work. The Lord is my shepherd. Okay. Now, in every organization, everyone looks at HR in different ways. But who we are based on our job function is unchanged. The perception of individuals notwithstanding, what we're supposed to be is very important. So as we speak to ourselves tonight, in this school of intentional living, I am asking you as you listen to me, as you run your mind through your job functions, as you run your mind through your career, as you run your mind through your dealings, as you run your mind through your relationship, as you run your mind through your deliverables, who are you? Are you this? Are you sitting in the place of service, or you're sitting in the place of being a master? What defines what you do? How is it defined for you? In the way you do things, in the way you run out policies, in the way you run out assignments, in the way you attend to people, do you come forth like a monster to people? How will people feel when they walk out of your office after having dealings with you? What will they see about you? What can they say about you? What will they run with? Or will they see you as someone who made them smile, who made them feel at ease? Your job in every organization is very important. So looking at the very functions that you carry out, whether it is from the moment you were employed, to the moment you start employing people, to the moment you engage with people, to the kind of training you send people for. So when you look at the subject matter of diversity and inclusion, whether it is performance management you're on, or you're looking at HR planning and analytics, compensation and benefit, employee health and safety, whatever it is you're looking at, the important thing I'd like you to know tonight is that as an HR professional, you are first and foremost an employee of an organization. And you must know your job functions. You cannot sit in the place you sit and not understand what it means to be an HR professional. So when you say we're talking L&D, you say you don't understand. When we say recruitment, you're saying, no, what is the process? What is this and that? When you're talking about employee engagement, people do not even research into very contemporary ways on how to apply all of these things in organization. I mean, when you're looking at performance management, what are the key things that talks about what forms KPI parameters in the organization? Is your intention to witch hunt or to build people? As an HR professionals, you and I have three major functions in the organization. First is three things or three ways we look at is first, we are first and foremost employees. And as employees, we should know our job. Let me say this evening that one of the biggest problems that confronts us as HR professionals is not knowing or understanding our job. So for everything that forms who we are as HR, you should know something about everything, regardless of where you want to specialize. You need to become like a mini encyclopedia, a mini HR encyclopedia. You can speak to every subject matter that comes to the table. Not that as an HR professional, you go for meetings and then they're asking questions about certain things. They said it's not my area of HR. Shut up. You need to know. You need to first, like a doctor, become a general practitioner before you even specialize. So someone is speaking to me and saying, okay, from the beginning, I just want only L&D. That's not how it works. Oh, this is just my, no, that is not just how it works. That is what defines us. It is knowing our job function from top to bottom. We can choose to specialize, not a problem. But when I'm a leader and I don't know, and my subordinate knows more than me, and instead of me to bend my head and learn, I want to run them down. So number one, you are first and foremost an employee in that organization. Secondly, you become employee advocates. You're an employee advocate in that organization. And as employee advocates, yours is to look at the rights of people. Yours is to consider the views of people. Yours is to let people have voices. Yours is to ensure that you can make information available to people and not all the information. Yours is to ensure that the services they get are the things they're supposed to do. Yours is to ensure that the workplace culture where they work is befitting for human beings to be able to work and carry out your deliverables. Yours is to ensure that the things they need to work and succeed are made available to them. Yours is to look at the things they do and appreciate them for the things that they do. Give them a voice. Don't silence them. Support them to grow. Don't push them under the table. I'm trying to run here. Time is fast, but I apologize for the entire network issues. Another thing you carry out in the organization is that you're a mediator. You're an employee, you're an advocate, you're a mediator. To be able to ensure that things run the way they ought to run in the organization. Because our time is fast spent, you should know this generally, but for you to be able to carry out this, your job function, it is important that you understand the fact that you must have competence. That means in the place of knowledge and skills and experience that is necessary to perform your task, you are there. You must have character. Character is one thing nobody can borrow you. Character is not one thing you can go and collect on loan. Character is not one thing you can come and beg me to give to you. It is something you have to systematically develop because it speaks to your integrity and your responsibility. You must have commitment for the job. Okay? I'm trying to run now. You must have commitment for the job. And then you must have the capability to carry out the job. I can begin to explain this also. You must have the courage to carry out your job function. Now, let me jump to the first thing after the introduction. We want to look at introduction to ethics and professionalism in HR, an overview of ethical principles and professional standards relevant to HR, including the role of HR in promoting organizational ethics. So I just want to ask the question now, what is ethics? Moderator, please feel free to stop me anywhere you want to stop me, because I know you should have stopped by now. The network is really bad. Was really bad, and it's something I didn't have control over. But feel free to let me know when you want me to stop. Okay, we're just getting into the subject matter now, as it were. What is ethics? Does anybody want to answer? Any message on the chat box? What does ethics mean to you?
Okay, so Chibuzo says ethics is a set of standard and principles.
The set of standard of principles. Anyone? Any other one?
Beliefs. Olabisi says beliefs.
Olabisi says beliefs. Okay. All right, thank you very much. The subject matter of ethics is one of the discourse in philosophy. Okay, and as a subject matter, one of the key areas you must study, even as a student of philosophy, if you must even graduate at all. It is so deep that it affects almost everything you do in that discipline, because it is one of the subject matter used in evaluating almost everything that you do. Now, ethics, by definition, okay, it said that ethics is the branch of philosophy that explores the principles and values, examining what is considered to be right and to be wrong, to be good or to be bad. Now, one of the key things I want to bring out as we speak about the subject matter of ethics this evening is that most times when we look at ethics, we're looking at whether it is right or whether it is wrong. Okay, I'd like you to hold on to that, because I'm going to try and examine that as we go on. So when you speak to the subject matter of ethics, you want to come to that place when you speak about morals, when you speak about principles, We want to speak about honesty, what is right, what is wrong, fairness, responsibility. You speak to conscience, to choices that we make, to things that we've done, whether they are honorable or not honorable. We're talking about the values and the types of values that we bring to the table, and whether our actions or inactions, speaks to integrity or not. Now, it is important that when you look at this subject matter, one of the key things we try to do when we look at the subject of ethics is to say this: principles are universal, but applications are very particular. But in saying they are particular, we're also trying to be very careful to try and ensure that I am not forcing what is a personal principle. I am not forcing what's a personal moral. I am not forcing what I think is right on people. Whatever you are making as the law or as moral guidance for people must be something that is not just based on what you feel or think. So when ethics comes into the subject of HR, is ethics necessarily looking at whether we are right or wrong? So I'm asking you the question: when ethics comes into HR, can anybody help me? Are we looking at whether we are right or wrong, whether we've done good or done evil? Because as HR practitioners, do not forget what I said from the beginning. You're dealing with human beings. What is right is what is by the law, by the rules, by our code of conduct in the organization. 9 a.m. is resumption time, means 9 a.m. is resumption time. Or we give 15 minutes, 9:15, once you come after 9:15, you're late, it means you're late. But can it always be so? Will it always be so? Is it supposed to always be so? So when ethics takes a journey into a subject matter, it's, can Chinwe pause? Chinwe, please mute. Thank you. God bless you. When ethics enters the realm of human resources, it acknowledges the place of what is right. And it acknowledges the place of what is wrong. But beyond what is right and what is wrong, it calls your attention to the place of what we call situation ethics. Yes, the rule is the rule. The rule is the rule. What is right is what is right. What is wrong is what is wrong. What we should do is what we should do. What we shouldn't do is what we shouldn't do. But there is a place in the journey of how we apply ethical values and standards in organizations to the place of what we call situation ethics. So when ethics comes into human resources, it is looking at what is fair. It is looking at what complies with the law. It also looks at what is transparent in our dealings and as we work with people. It examines whether we uphold confidentiality. It examines whether employee well-being is important to us. It examines how much we protect whistleblowers who probably come to give us information. It looks at our value alignment with the business objectives. And it looks at our responsiveness to ethical, values. Now, these are things I thought I would have been able to explain, but there's no time to really explain them. In the end, I'd like you to understand what to do. By focusing on all of these things I mentioned, ethics in HR aims to foster a positive organizational culture, enhance employee engagement, and create a sustainable and ethical workplace through its core function as mediator and advocate. Now, listen to me. If you want to carry out apply ethics, as it were, in the place of human resources, I said it speaks more. Yes, we want to look at what is right. Yes, we want to look at what is wrong. But most importantly, we want to see whether we're correct in what we've done. We want to see whether we're correct in what we've done. Now, when you come to work, past 9, you're late. So you're marked late. But I also want to look at it. Yes, the rule is 9 o'clock, but the rain today was very heavy. And there was flood everywhere. This staff came to work wet. Can we make an exception? Is it possible not to act like we are not humans? Is it possible not to act like we don't see? Is it possible not to act like we don't understand? I remember someone once said, in the midst of a very heavy rain on the island, and this person was coming from very far, and the boss immediately dropped a message on the WhatsApp platform of their department. I know it is raining today, but that is not the excuse of champions. Do not come late to the office. Now, that may sound like you're trying to motivate the people, but how much can they control at a time when it is raining and they have no power over it? So when you're looking at ethics and are trying to apply ethics in human resources, you're trying to not just looking at what the rules, what the law, what the code of conduct already states. You're trying to look at what you've done, what you've applied that is correct at that time. So yes, it is true that the rule states XYZ. But can we also look at this without necessarily playing down the rule? Can we roll down moral compass and say, in looking at what we've applied in dealing with this situation, we've been fair. We've done right. We're okay in what we've done. If we're going to examine the situation and apply it to another person tomorrow, we can't say to ourselves that we have failed. Because in the end, like I said from the beginning, we're humans. And we must look at those who lead also as humans. In applying the law or the code of conduct, in complying with the rules and the regulations, we must understand that certain situations also affect certain things that make human beings act in maybe ways we do not think they should have acted. Okay, now I wanted to take us through the journey of acting like professionals in the office. Okay, but what I'm going to try and do is try and wrap all of these things up because of our time. Let me try and explain to you. As HR professionals, we cannot walk away from everything or anything that we are. In the way we speak, in the way we make rules, in the way we attend to people, in the way we delegate, in the ways we lead, in the ways we follow, we must observe the highest professional standard. I mean, it can't just be excused from us because our role is key and very strategic in the organization. So everything we do, in the ways we do them and how we do them, must carry that face. We must be seen to be very professional. You cannot afford to be found at a point where you're speaking to someone the way you're not supposed to speak to them. Or whether we even in sending messages to them. In the roles that we make in the organization and in the ways we make those roles. Even when it comes to deliverables and our expectations of those deliverables. We cannot afford to be caught in the web of not being professional at all. Not in the way we dress, not in the way we talk, not in the way we look, not in the way we answer questions, not in the way we shake people's hands. Not in the way we appear ourselves. We cannot afford to be caught in that web of unprofessionalism. Because maturity is what is expected of us. We are meant to be responsible people, know what we do on the job. Is it even in the way we give feedback? Is it in the way we pass messages across to those we work with? Do we perceive those we work with are those who are in us on the journey of success? Or we look at them as individuals who are working under us, and like I always tell people, nobody works under you. They work with you. So you and I cannot afford to be caught in that web where anybody is saying, this person is not even professional, not in the way they talk to me, not in the way they look at me, not in the things they do in the office. That's why somebody will go out there and say, we are the shining light on social media, but we're darkness in the office. We can't be caught in that way. So let me quickly jump now. Let us look at common scenarios and challenges where HR practitioners may face ethical decisions such as conflict of interest, discrimination, and confidentiality breaches. Let's take conflict of interest, for example. An HR manager is tasked with hiring for a position in which a close friend or family member is a candidate. Now, the HR manager must navigate the ethical implication of favoritism versus the need to hire the best candidate for the job. If you're going to sit on a panel, for example, where someone that you know is it possible for you to be very objective and send on a very long sabbatical subjectivism in dealing with that person? What are you meant to do if you find yourself in such a situation? Can anybody help me? Just looking at the case of conflict of interest now. Does anybody want to help me? Is our moderator still there? Does anybody want to help me? Sharply. Okay, please announce to me at what time do I stop? This is 9:19. When should I stop? Let me know. I don't have to finish the slide, okay? I'm going to hand the slide over to the L&D team. Okay, 7:30, so I have 11 minutes. I'm going to hand the slide over to the L&D team, and then when you read through it to help help you on other parts. Okay, I don't have to jump and try and finish the slide. I don't like doing that when I have sessions like this. Once again, apologies for the network issue. I had no direct control over it. Can anybody help me? So if you find yourself in that scenario I just pointed out now, what do you think is the right thing to do? What's the most ethical thing to do? Does anybody want to say something?
Chibuza says, you rescue yourself from the hiring process.
Recuse yourself from the hiring process. So it's either you declare it, it's either you declare it or you're not part of the process entirely if you want to remain objective in the hiring process. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chibu. I appreciate that. Does anyone have a contrary opinion on that one? Any contrary opinion? Do you think you can still stay on that panel and be objective? Or do you think it's ethically right for you to remain on that panel when you're not the CEO? You know, if I'm the CEO and I'm the last person the person is coming to see, I can't run away from my seat. Of course, if you're coming to see the CEO, you've already passed through the process. So that's just a chat we're going to have. Okay, so but if I'm sitting at the level of the first phase, second phase, or third phase of the interview before the final, and I see someone, and I already know I know this person, what's the most ethical and most professional thing that I am supposed to do at that time? My suggestions will be, like Chibuzo said, excuse yourself from the process. Perhaps excuse yourself from the process. But if you know you have the ethical standards to judge regardless, to be fair, unbiased, then you can still stay there. Some are that strong ethically. They don't care who you are. They will apply the rule like the rule. But declare it like she said. I know XYZ person is very well known to me. Let the other members of the panel then tell you, okay, let's go ahead with you. Or maybe just excuse us while we attend to this person. Declare it. That would be the most professional thing to do. I want to take another one. Discrimination in the workplace. The manager, for example, consistently overlooks qualified candidates of a certain gender, race, or age group for promotion. The HR department receives complaint about perceived bias. How do you think you and I should address this kind of issue? And it happens all the time, really. Some line managers in some departments, for some reasons, want to favor some people, want to pull down some people, want to favor some, want to look down on some, want to push some to the forefront and not push it to the other side. Now, as HR, one of the things I'll tell HR is that you have the list of everybody in different departments and when they joined an organization. So when we're looking at promotions, we're looking at certain things to consider promotion. It's not just the time you join, it's also the value you put on the table. So when somebody is recommending someone who just came into the system, you know, over and above somebody who's been there in the system, as HR, do you ask questions? Are you too lazy to go and look at the record and say, okay, you've suggested this person to us, that's fine. But let me look at this person just joined, and this person has been, these individuals have been there for this long. Why are you bringing this person forward? Do you have the courage? And that's one of the things I talked about the other time. Do you have the courage to ask the questions, to raise the questions, to confront the issues based on the knowledge you have? Will you be courageous enough to ask questions? Because you're sitting in a place where you need to be fair, where you need to be seen as having done the right thing. Yes, if you want to go by the books, what the line manager recommends, your own is to take it and apply. But no, that's not just where you sit. You sit in a place where you should raise the question. Why is this person, I noticed from those in your department, XYZ has been here for this time. Now this person is just coming in. Why am I having this person and not this person? And let us see whether it is because this person just favors this person, or whether this person has truly brought more to the table in the short time they have come, over and above that one that has been there for a long time. Okay. Look at the place of confidentiality breaches sometimes. Again, also, can when people come to you and say certain things that are meant to be very confidential, do you see them on the billboard later? Are you that HR professional where you sit who can hold information that has been given to you at that level? For example, can you manage it? And in the place of confidentiality breaches, when somebody has breached a protocol, how do you handle it? Well, this person has joined us, and we did a background check. We now found out that XYZ is the case. Oh, and I like this person. Will you be quiet, or will you bring it to the forefront? Will you be found in the place of compromise just because you like that face? Or when people come to tell you things in confidence, for example, how well do you protect them? So that when people look, they don't begin to run them like, now you, Madam Peking. Now you go talk, oh, and then the name begins to run. Just because they told you something, and then you told another person. Just always remember that when you're told something in confidence, once you tell one more person, it's finished. Now, when somebody comes to tell you something, and management even wants to know, how much can you protect the person? I remember an instance where someone was told, when something like this happened, and the bosses came forward and said, we want to know who did this. And then he said, we'll take this as a responsibility from our team. I'm the team lead here, and I'm telling you that this is what has happened. We'll take full responsibility for it. So the CEO was saying, no, I want to know who did it. And this guy stood, of course, because I know this story very well, and said, sir, it's not about who did it. It's about the fact that it's teamwork here. He said, are you trying to protect someone? I said, no, it's my team and you made me the head. I take full responsibility for whatever has happened or whatever hasn't happened, the way it is supposed to happen. They said, no, but you have to tell me who has done it. They said, no, sir, it's a teamwork. How much are you able to hold your own in the place of leadership, for example, when someone tells you something, how much do you protect them? Or when we look at the issue of workplace harassment, this is really very common in the workplace, where one of the top issues, maybe not one of the very top issues, one of the issues that happen almost everywhere, you know them, I know them. The issue of workplace harassment, it comes in different dimensions. whether it is senior to junior, junior to senior. These things happen at different levels. How do we address it? How do we handle it? What are we supposed to do? What are we not supposed to do? So someone said, when somebody says they're harassing them, we really need to know who is harassing who. But this happens all the time. How well are we able to handle these things as HR professionals? Now, there are different ones, maybe in the place of falsification of record and other things. Let me just see if I can quickly jump, this one. We're supposed to look at legal compliance versus ethical responsibilities. That's trying to differentiate between legal requirements and ethical conduct, and understanding HR can go beyond compliance to foster a healthy organizational culture. It's important here to say that legal compliance and ethical responsibilities are both crucial components of organizational behavior, okay, particularly in human resource practice. While they are often interconnected, the point is that there are key differences, between them, okay? Legal requirements are formal rules, okay, basic rules and regulations established by governing bodies that organizations must comply with, must follow, okay? They include laws that are relating to employment, that relates to workplace safety, issues of discrimination, data protections, amongst other things. By its nature, legal requirements are mandatory, okay? And failure to comply with them can result in legal penalties for organizations at any point. The focus here is to say, and we should adhere to existing laws. Even in our country, there are laws that have been made to guide organizations, and in the companies where you work, there are laws that have been made to guide the organizations. There are labor laws that have been made, and organizations are meant to follow those laws to the letter. They are not negotiable. They are not like when you're writing ethical laws or laws that speaks to values. These are standards that are not asking you whether you want to comply. They are things you are meant to comply with. It is non-negotiable, okay? Now, on the other hand, ethical conduct, like we have already said, they refer to those principles and to those values that guide our behavior beyond just the law. But I want to sum this up because it's already 7:31. Now, the thing is this. Let me summarize this way. I have about 40 more slides to go. But let me say this. As human resource professionals, and in leading and guiding people in the job that we do, we need to come to grips with the fact that laws are made for man, not man for the laws. Okay? Now, labor law may not speak to whether I can date someone in the office. The laws guiding employment in Nigeria may not speak to whether I can date someone in the office. Two adults can actually date themselves. But where things have been found to be wrong, as HR professionals, we must put on that cap of fairness. We must put on that cap where we are not subjective. We must train ourselves to the point where we can bracket our preconceptions and then say we want to evaluate this issue that has happened and evaluate it objectively. And there are different issues that may confront you in your own organizations with regards to, okay, what the laws have said, maybe in the way you terminate someone's appointment, maybe in the way you suspend someone at all, maybe in the way CEO even comes and says, send this person away. You want to look at, yes, you may have the power as the CEO, but what does the law say? And when we evaluate this entire thing, looking at it from the place of ethics and value and the culture of the organization, can we be seen to have been fair? My most sincere apology once again, because our time is fast spent. I like to stop here because I like to obey rules. Okay, I want to hand over back to the moderator. I know that when you get the slides, you'll probably be able to go through the other sections of the slide and then see how you can also benefit from the things that have not been said. Once again, the network issue was not entirely my fault, and I have no direct control over it. Okay, I am really, really sorry it happened that way. Over to you, Abosede.
Thank you so much, Joseph Ogundare. Thank you for that session, even in the midst of network issues back and forth. We sincerely appreciate this time and the level of insight you received. Can we have questions? If you have questions for our speaker facilitator today, I know we already have 2 questions dropped. Can we also share what we've gained thus far while we read out the questions? So one question from Elizabeth: how do you manage what your line manager insists on knowing why certain decisions were taken based on confidential information HR has? That's a question from
Abosede, that is
Chima.
really breaking. I don't know if it's me or you. Is it my network?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, please? Hello, can you hear me, or is it my network?
Yes, Bossa, we can hear you clearly, very clearly.
All right. Joseph, can you hear me now? Let me be sure you can hear before I go ahead with the question. Okay, I think the network again. But if you have 1 or 2 questions, please drop. I know we have 2 questions, and then what you've learned thus far during this short period of learnings. So I know as HR professional, our facilitator emphasized the fact that you have to strike a balance. You need to do what is right, irrespective of, it's not about you, it's about what is right, and being able to stand for what is right, obey the law of the land, and as much as possible, what are the set rules, what are the standard rules that are put in on grounds for everyone to align with. You as HR must be able to honor those rules, even when there are few exceptions and there need to be proper communications. And then if you see other people not aligning to the set rules, ethics, and the law of the land, you need to ask questions. You need to confront them, because we need to be ethical and professional. Those are the highlights. Please, can we drop our highlights while we wait for our speaker? I don't know if any other person can take on the question about confidentiality that was dropped.
I'm so sorry, please. Okay, the question again.
All right. How do you manage when your line manager insists on knowing why certain HRs? How do you manage that?
On why your line manager does what?
How do you manage when your line manager insists on knowing why certain decisions were taken based on confidential information HR has? Did you get that?
But what do you do when your line manager insisting on knowing why you did certain thing based on certain confidential information HR has?
Yes.
Am I correct?
That's good.
Did I paraphrase
Yes, that's the
that well?
question.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
Okay. The first thing to try and understand when the word confidentiality exists is that when it is confidential, when information is given to HR in confidence, it is actually given to HR in confidence. When you know something in confidence, means you know something in confidence. And the important thing is your ability to protect that information you've been given. Now, HR by its practice has a right to that protection and confidentiality, and also, but sometimes in the ways and manners you present the issue. Okay, you must always look again for a diplomatic way to go about it when you're presenting the issue. And again, HR can sometimes also present an issue as if it was their own internal investigation based on the hunch they got. So sometimes you don't even just go and say someone came and said. Someone came and said is the safest link people use sometimes, but sometimes HR has a right to also investigate anything that is capable of damaging the image of an organization, that is capable of affecting work productivity, human relationship, and all that. So the way you present the issue sometimes, is very important. It has to be presented in such a way that the person is protected. Okay? And when a person now insists on wanting to know what the source is, you don't have to come up with the source. The important thing is the subject matter on the table. Is it the way we heard it to be? It is the answer that is more important than you wanting to know the source. So HR must do its best to try and protect what is deeply confidential, because we cannot throw anybody under the bus just because you want to be seen to have done your job well. That would not be ethical at all.
All right, thank you so much. So the next question we have here is, Chima says, I would like to ask pertaining to confidentiality, where one enters an organization that line managers and former HR do not uphold this, and management have come to see it as a normal thing. How do the new HR that uphold confidentiality navigate these people and practices?
Now that's a deep one. That's a deep one. Now, for everyone who enters into an organization, you enter into that organization with personal principles and personal morals that guide who you are. You see, the first thing I always tell people is, in line with what Socrates said, he said, man, know thyself. So he also added something, he said, an unexamined life is not worth living. I know what my values are, I know what my moral values are, what the system that guides my life are. Now, in an attempt to apply that to work, I've had instances where when I was working in telecoms, I was asked, it was a culture in the system that for everything a staff does, query is the way to ask the question. And every query was important at the end of the day, because if you got one query at all, there was a key part of your KPI parameter that affected. So, but a few of us came up and said, since there is the place of coaching, there is a place of mentoring the staff, there's a place of helping the staff get better. Why is query always the first thing? Now, the Indian man who was the boss, all he understood was the law. He didn't want to hear anything in between. If you were late to work, you were late to work. Apply the books. If you were late to work and I didn't give you a query, I'll get a query as your team head or your team lead, at the time. So if you have just said, there was a need to change the face of these things and how things work, started confronting issues, caused a lot of issues. In fact, at some point, it was almost putting our job on the line. But of course, we had to follow it, to the latter. So sometimes if you're working in HR, I understand the place of when you come to a system, maybe that job you even just got, you had not worked for the last 5 years. And your father and your mother climbed plenty mountains for you to get that job. Having gotten that job, you want to protect that job. You want to keep that job at all costs. So if you come into a place where the head of HR and management and everybody sees it as a normal thing to blow open what is meant to be confidential, your choice now comes in. Your personal beliefs and moral now comes in. Are you going to put your job on the line for it? Okay? Or you're going to insist on wanting to protect what you should protect? What would they know you for? Now, this is something where I will tell you protection of information or maintaining confidentiality is key. But I'm going to throw it back to you. What are your values? What do you stand for? You see, like they say, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And am I going to sit down here and tell you that, oh, it's all very easy? Don't tell them. Yes, that will be the right thing to do. What does your value say? So I'm going to throw it back to you. What does your value say? Are you going to go into that system and become one of them? Or are you going to go to that system or insist on the right thing being done? HR should insist on the right thing being done. That's where we sit.
Thank you. Wow. Approach it from educating the system, the implications and all that, and then stand on your values. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have one question that says from Jovia, how does one approach adherence to ethical standards by theme without coming off as being harsh or tough? And I think it speaks to the other questions of someone that says that junior staffs tend to eat beyond the time that they're supposed to spend for breakfast, 1 hour afterwards, and then 10 afterward, 1 hour afterward, and then they keep chatting. So the HR said she sent an email to say anytime after 9 a.m. nobody should go there except they want to take water. And then someone comes to her to say it's too stiff. People would not see her open and approachable again. She got confused and like, how can she go about this? I think we can mix those two questions together.
So I didn't get the first part very, but I'll try and answer the second one. And for me, it's really very simple. You see, I remember when I was working, I came into the system barely 3 years, and my director called a few of us that based on performance, she wanted us to become team leads. And when we became team leads, those that joined with us who were our friends, those we met on the floor who were our seniors, we had issues with who have become my friends. How are we going to deal with them? And guess what? There was no training to let you immediately know at that time. Training came later, how you were going to do it. They applied a system first and foremost where they wanted to see you perform and see the mistakes you will make so that will form the training you get. Okay, so the question was, what would you do even if you found your friends doing this? I'm even saying this now against back all the fact that these individuals may even be your friends. They are people you laugh with, the people you play with. But let me say something. You must always learn to separate Peter from Paul. When we come work, now work we come. The rule is the rule. So whatever you need to do to ensure that people are not playing down the rule, it will not really matter how they perceive you. In the long run, it is for the overall productivity of the organization. You'll be cheating the system if you're supposed to resume back by 10 o'clock and you're coming at 10:10 and you expect us to understand. No, that is not acceptable. If it were your own business, would you do that? Is that what you will do? And if you're aiding and abetting such things happening in the organization, I'll say, Charles, just because you don't want to perceive as wrong, let me state something here. You cannot be loved by everybody. You're not a dollar bill. You see, right now, people may reject even the naira for dollar. You're not a dollar bill. Dollar is what people want to kill themselves for. You're not a dollar bill. You're not looking at everybody loving you. In fact, you're not in the workplace for everybody to love you, for anybody to love you. You're there to do your job. Carry it out professionally. And you see the same people, if you don't stand for something, like we say, you fall for anything, when they come to understand that your principles are your principles, they will fall in line or fall out. I mean, there's no middle line to that. Make the rules, guide the people. Where there are no rules, you can't follow the people. So saying don't come late from break is not a rule that does not carry a human face. So let everybody see you as being hard and harsh. If you let them play to the gallery, the same people will blame you for it tomorrow. So I didn't get that first question very well. I don't know if this answers it.
Yeah, it's the same thing actually. I think your answers has responded to that. Talks about how do you stand being professional and ethical without coming harsh or tough. I think it speaks to you already speak to that.
And again, and let me just add something. There are periods when people are doing the wrong thing. You're talking to them, you're trying to coach them, you're trying to mentor them to a point where they're doing the right thing. You keep doing this, even when it comes to performance on the job, I mean, you've done it, you've tried, you've gotten people to mentor, this person is not coming good. You don't just want this person to lose their job. You're trying to do what it is you can do as a professional. And if you're a coach, you've done your best for this person. I can lose step with that periods when you love people enough to let them go or to apply, the big stick. It may not be let them go. It may just be to help them understand that there is a need for change because the system will not continue to accommodate this. So HR must not be looking for love. You just need to sit in that place so you know you've done the correct thing. And we're not talking religion here. It's what the job should be.
Wow, thank you so much for the answers. I think that's all about the questions. For now, I thought somebody was raising a hand, but obviously the person has lowered the hand. Maybe you've touched or answered that. Thank you so much. This has been insightful and educative, and
Hello, boss.
I'm very sure we've taken. Huh? Sir?
Malga wants to speak.
I think it
Okay.
was PM Adeyemi Ajayi, FCI PMO raises. So I think we should give him the floor to speak.
All
I
right.
think he wanted to make one or.
Okay, please
And
go
Joseph,
ahead.
please check your private chat. Joseph, I sent you
Okay.
something private chat on WhatsApp and on Zoom.
Okay, let me check. Please call Malga. Malga is waiting to speak, I beg.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir. I salute you.
Thank you very much, and well done, brother. Good point on the issue of ethics and professional conduct in the workplace. I was just going to make a few comments regarding being able to stand firm when you get into an organization and where certain principles and guidelines, ethical guidelines, are not being followed. It's always better when you get to a place to first review the policies around confidentiality, ethical conduct, their code of conduct, and all of that. And where such things have not been prioritized over time, HR, really, you cannot fight the battle alone. It's always advisable for you to take on the MD CEO, to sit down with him, for him to even understand his own moral compass, how it's working. Because if you cannot get the buy-in of the leadership of the organization, you're going to struggle with whatever thing you want to do. And even no matter where you're coming from, again, don't forget the code of conduct of CIPM says that where there are issues with your professional conduct and, of course, the expression of your job role, you should not shy away from making the call, because at the end of the day, it will come back to you. Most of the times, we've had HR professionals who had worked in organizations where they've compromised standards and ethical, policies, and for the rest of their career, it follows you through anywhere you go. Especially for those that have worked with some the so-called Indian organization who have allowed them to be used to do the wrong things, to practice the wrong things. Over time, you find out that when they go out there in the job market, once people hear the names of certain organizations where they have worked before, it affects them going forward. In fact, as HR professionals, we are getting to a point where you are able to even say, even when some organizations are trying to poach you, you are telling them, sorry, I can't work because of the reputation that goes with that organization. There are some companies that once they see certain names of organizations on your CV, that you have worked there at a certain level, it's most likely that you will not proceed to the next stage of interview. Not for any stereotype, but because they know that some of those organizations, they don't have proper code of conduct. They are not ethical in their approaches. And then the era of social media is bringing some of these things to light more often. And so that's why we must be careful to stand for what we believe. And like our speaker has said, what is your own moral compass? What are your values? What do you stand for? And that should always guide whatever you are doing. And where you are in doubt, seek help from other colleagues, seek counsel from other colleagues at every point in time. And I believe that you'll be able to navigate through a lot of ethical issues within the HR space. Thank you very much. Let me just pause there so I don't take over the conversation. Thank you.
Even if you take over the conversation, you are allowed, sir. God bless you. Thank you very much. So, Ambassador, let me quickly attend to what Malgat sent to me. Dr. Mike sent something privately. They say, so how do you handle a situation where HR staff is recording telephone conversations with colleagues? Good. See,
It's me.
can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay, so he said, how do you handle a situation where HR staff is recording telephone conversation with colleagues? So I'm going to answer this question experientially. I once worked in a place where people denied people. In fact, on one particular occasion, I went somewhere, and for the first time in a very long time in the history of my life, tears dropped from my eyes. Tears dropped from my eyes because I saw a superior who denied a junior colleague because something came to light. And the junior colleague had told this person at the time, it was a verbal conversation, and I was there. But when the situation now later happened, because the junior colleague told this person didn't do what she was supposed to do at the time. So there was a gap. That gap now affected something later because the customer wrote in something. And guess what? The person who wrote in this letter was the chairman's friend. And if you know this person I'm calling the chairman, you will understand that head have to roll. What did this team lead do? This team lead denied the staff. And then I called the team lead to a corner. I said, can you remember that this person told you this at this time, at this date? He said, Joseph, now my job I did talk about here. It not concern you. Remove mouth. That particular staff was suspended luckily. Person didn't lose their job, and that was really painful. Now, within that same system also, there are moments when superiors will tell junior staff certain things and staff will deny it. So I'm always telling people, if you work in an organization where things happen the way they happen, always remember the words of Socrates. An unexamined life is not worth living. Examine everything happening. Examine things that are passing in front of you. Let nothing pass in the face of common sense. Question, ask the why question. So be your five senses must be entirely open in the organization you're working with. Look at the culture, look at the system, look at what's happening. Now, Doc, for individuals who do this, I cannot come and say they are wrong. If sometimes they are doing this recording thing, something may have led to it. I know top executives that their phone are on auto record. Every phone conversation that goes in their phone is recorded because they may have had experiences where things happen, people deny them. And don't forget, in Nigeria or anywhere around the world, the biggest question is, where's your evidence? So people, and I heard that some recordings are not tenable in some places actually, but when people handle recordings, it is because they want to save their own neck. And sometimes it's also happened that way. So the question you ask is, what's your take? My take is very simple. Is it morally right for you to want to record people? Maybe the answer is no. But if the place you work is a place that can throw you into some kind of trouble without such evidences, do not forget that the first law of nature is self-preservation. You want to preserve yourself. You want to protect yourself. You want to guide yourself. You want to ensure that when a push comes to shove, you can present what it is you have. So sometimes what can save you the situation may just be the evidence you have. So if somebody is doing that in an organization, it is because of what is already happening. Legally, yes, it may be wrong to record someone without the person's permission. Okay? Yes, I got that message, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. It is wrong to record someone without their permission. But hey, I've seen instances where it was the only thing that saved the person. I'll give you just one typical example. I had this boss then that his pen, in fact, I had to go and buy that pen later. His pen was spy pen. We didn't know. So there was this lady who walked into his office and something happened. The lady went to report. This happened. This was not them say. This lady went to report that this man harassed her. Unfortunately for this lady, his spy pen recorded everything. The matter was becoming hot. In fact, all the ladies in the organization who didn't already like this person carried it on their head. The guy was he kept his cool. He didn't say anything, shockingly. But when they called a panel, Then we were talking and talking, and then the director asked, "What do you have to say?" I was there. They just said, "Can I play a tape for you?" They said, "What tape?" I said, "Can I play a tape for you?" They had downloaded it and then he played it. The entire thing that happened in that office on that day. That was the only thing that saved the man. So legally, it may not be right to do it. Okay? But I speak to situational ethics here when I say, if it is for self-preservation, self-protection, I don't think it will be wrong if you do it. Okay? But if it's in an organization that says you can't record anybody, the laws are open about it, then of course you can. Even if you present it, maybe they won't accept it. But where the law is silent about it, remember what I said, self-preservation is important and it is key. That's my take.
Wow, thank you so much from the contribution to the question and the ending of this session. It's been amazing and quite insightful. And as HR, we do not have option than to be ethical and professional. Sometimes it might require us losing our job, but to protect ourselves and to move forward and to not to dent the great image we've been building and what you stand for, and for the future's sake. We take a decision. Thank you so much for this great session. All right, so we have few announcements I'd like to share with us regards to our programs, forthcoming programs that we have and the ones we've been having. So, of course, we know every Friday at 6 p.m. we have Obite Fun Corner that all work and no play make Jacks a doll. But as professionals, yes, we should be serious, but then we need to have time. Fun Corners, don't miss it every Fridays. And then our learning schedules to continue. November 16, we have Ask the Expert on the topic creating the climate for sustainable employee relations in organization. November 30th, special learning sessions, designing and implementing an effective talent management framework to drive business outcomes. And then December 7th, we have another great moment with the coach. 7 points, coaching as a critical imperative for driving behavioral and culture change in our organization. And of course, the CSR project for AHR members, it's culture to give back. So Albite Jingle Love and Give. These items you can donate just to support this thing, money, hampers, provisions, and then we have the account of the association there and then which contacts to reach out to. Yes, that will be all about the informations that we have for now. Of course, on our platform, would definitely reach out to us if there are any other information and updates we need to know that was not communicated. And then please, they sent the link for the certificate and attendance. Please kindly fill it so that it has 3 certification units by the HRCI. And for those that are CIPM members, also know we have this, we can use this as a unit for practicing license. All right, it's been a great session. I would just like to say a big thank you for everyone that participated. I don't know if there's any other information from the president, the secretariat, the leader before we call it a wrap tonight. Do we have any other information, or we can just... All right, the link has been reposted. Thank you so much. If there is none, thank you everyone for coming around. We meet again for the next session. Let's have a wonderful evening, and please stay strong and keep thriving. Bye. The attendance have been